it does sound a bit gay, doesn't it?
A bit. It's super gay.
It's not necessarily a bad thing if you want to write.
But no.
There's nothing wrong with making your story homoerotic if that's what you want to write. But how does that work in a creepypasta?
Jeff began to smile. Why are you smiling at me? You're queer off from me or something. Yes.
I mean, look who's talking.
Yes.
Like Randy asked, a slight nervous tinge in his voice. It's
can't-
like, I am. So,
You faggot Nash.
you're a faggot, Nash. Why, are you cruising for a piece of ass?
Well, maybe I'm offering. I just got them slapping their dicks together for this 20 minutes.
We're fucking
Careless
sword
whisper in the
fighting.
background.
And the police chief's still in the room. The shades are open. All the people are watching.
The final sword fight of Highlander is disappointing.
There can be only one.
All
Train
the Freddie Mercury songs.
derailed officially. Southeastern apologises for the delay. The train seemed to have derailed.
Am I smiling, Randy? I guess it's because I'm just having so much fun.
Playing
As he
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Dropping trowel.
Jeff announced, and suddenly lunged towards the unprepared kid holding the flare gun. Toby, do you want to take over for a bit?
Jeff struck Randy once in the nose. Randy's arms dropped.
He didn't say with his fist.
Yeah, he kept hold of the flare gun. Jeff, without even needing to look, realised that Troy and Keith had actually taken a step back, instead of advancing as they should have. Jeff delivered another strong blow to Randy's jaw, causing the boy to drop on the floor. My boy.
Yeah, again, has not said that it was his fist.
Yeah. Jeff now turned his attention to Troy and Keith. Troy McClaw. The two tough kids had yet to actually make as much as a move as in his direction. Troy actually backed up a step and stumbled over a stack of magazines that Randy had moved earlier. Jeff took this opportunity and stepped forward, once again introducing Troy's round belly to his fist. Troy tried to stay on his feet, but Jeff's punches combined with a stumble over the magazines caused Troy to fall back, landing hard and striking his head on the concrete slab. That was the garage floor. Keith was actually trying to back away, however Jeff, currently standing between him and the only exit of the garage since the carport door was closed. Jeff took 2 quick steps towards the skinny kid and felt the most intense joy at seeing Keith stagger backwards, knocking his back into the wall. It was a perfect blend of pleasure, control, and, just that had come together. Jeff felt as though he was floating above the world. He just took some heroin. Somewhere in his mind, he knew that he was all about hell to pay for this. But in that exact time, he couldn't care less. He didn't care about Liu. He didn't care about being arrested. He didn't care about his dad got fired. All he cared about in that fraction was time was hurting Keith. Great. Keith tried to make a run for it, hoping to squeeze through that small gap between Jeff and the door. However, Jeff clipped him hard and right hand to his face, causing Keith to stagger back. Jeff could see that his knees were buckling and took full advantage. He moved in, pinning Keith to the wall, edgy.
He's pinning him down.
Pinning him to the wall.
And began to deliver blow after blow to the skinny kid's stomach.
Prostate.
Keith's eyes became as large as saucers. What is he with this guy?
An appropriate analogy, Jeff thought.
Because he was buggering with a teacup.
Once satisfied, Jeff stepped back and watched in demonic glee as Keith slowly slid down the wall, gasping for air. Randy got back to his feet, but had no idea what to do.
RKO, you fucking idiot!
We're done now, Randy. We good? Or do you and your friends need more? Jeff mocked.
No more. We're cool.
How about you, assholes?
It was Randy's idea.
Keith said weakly. Stop drawing dicks!
It's only a couple of
Oh
dicks.
my god, he's drawn like 5 dicks!
4 actually. And then I draw that's not a dick, that's a space gun. God.
Just fucking read your line. Hang on, where is it? That one, yeah.
Yeah, man. As he reached into his pocket, pulling out a donut. We didn't even want to.
Troy agreed. The debate may have continued, but the sound of the returning car broke the tension. Oh shit, my mum's back! Randy shouted as his voice cracking in a humorous rate. It seemed that the previous tough guy all but shrunk back into a scared child.
So we'll just say that we were all hanging out.
Keith replied. No, the fucking flare gun. If she finds out I messed with it, I'm screwed.
So put it back,
Jeff suggested, in that sensation of rage was fading again, but it felt control returning. Yeah, grab the magazines, please, Randy begged. Jeff found that he rather liked that tone, that begging, whipped dog mentality.
50 Shades of Jeff the Killer.
Don't put that on the screen, please. Yes. Jeff was paying no attention to Randy. He was down on the floor, calmly gathering magazines. He didn't really care if Randy got in trouble or not. However, if his mother returned and found trouble, he feared that Lou may not be able to return home as promised. Everything else happened in a flash, both literally and figuratively.
What?
So there was like a flash of lightning, presumably, or something.
Yeah.
Or Flash, savior of the universe came in.
Or oh god, he's gonna accidentally set off the flare gun and blow up Starbucks, isn't he?
Yeah. Randy.
If it was a bagel.
Randy, now in a panic over the trouble he'd been in. If he was caught playing with a flare gun, he'd begun to sweat. As his hands frantically clawed over the gun, his thumb pushed the hammer back unintentionally. No, he didn't. If you just put it back. You don't do that. He didn't even notice that the gun was cocked. He was turning it over in his hands, trying to quickly disarm it. Then he heard the sound of the keys in the front door. He nearly only had seconds to hide it. Everything happened in slow motion.
Where am I going to put this flare? Oh, Jeff, here,
So
hold
everything
it.
else happened in slow motion.
The gun
Literally and figuratively.
Slow motion flash.
The gun slipped from Randy's sweaty hand as he attempted to rotate it round once more. He saw it fall to the floor, seemingly float to the ground rather than fall. Jeff, busy stacking the magazines, had only enough time to register Randy's shocked gasp as he turned around to look in the boy's direction just in time to see the boy's red flare gun hit the floor. The gun discharged. Wink face. Launching a speeding fireball directly into directly into Jeff's face.
So this
Wow.
is why Jeff has a pale face, right?
I guess it's better than a thing of bleach. Jeff felt the hot flash of heat and pain tear across the left side of his face. After the initial registry of agony, there was no more thinking. Jeff began to scream, clutching at the left side of his face, rolling around on the floor.
Does it speed sound?
Got places to go, got to follow around. For a while, he forgot everything as he was plunged into that dark, rich syrup once more.
It's a weird metaphor.
The rage almost serving to dull the pain.
When he finally did come to a stable level of alertness, he realised he was in a hospital room. Half of his face was bandaged.
He's two-faced now.
He knew that much. He wanted to open his eyes.
Well, it was done by Nolan, wasn't it?
He wanted to open his eyes and speak, because you have to do one to do the other. Let his family know he was awake, but the drug still had a firm hold. I remember saying something like, I feel a bit lightheaded, maybe you should drive. He was awake, but not quite yet functioning. He could hear several familiar voices, though.
Is he going to be okay, Doctor?
Oh, not another fucking
Jeff's
doctor.
mother asked.
Right, so we're the only two.
It's the same doctor.
Yes, ma'am. Your son will be fine. However, he will have a lengthy road to Toys R Us to recovery, and will need your support. The flare struck his face and caused third-degree burns on his left side.
How bad is the eye?
Jeff Father's asked.
Hard to say at this point. He'll need to see an optometrist for further review, but the damage appears quite severe.
And his face? What about his face?
Jeff's mother asks, sounding deeply concerned.
Well, we were able to clean and treat the injury in time, so we have no concern for infection or anything of that matter. We'll want him on antibiotics for a while, and
That'll help.
he'll have the wound cleaned and dressed on a regular basis. But all in all, your son got very lucky. The damage could have been more severe.
Doctor,
His mother began.
what if there's permanent damage? What do we do about that?
As I said, an optometrist will have to examine the eye.
Sheila Woods interrupted the doctor, sounding more agitated than before.
You're not listening. Not the eye, his face. What do we do to correct his face? Because that's all I care about is outside beauty, and I don't.
Terrible person.
Yes.
She demanded.
Well, ma'am, we have treated his face. Like I said, there shouldn't be a risk of infection as long as you...
She cut him off again.
Not the infection. His appearance. What can we do about that? Because I'll only love him if he looks as good as like like a proper boy, not half a boy.
Miss Woods, that's hardly a concern at this point,
said Dr. Pyramids.
Once he is healed and back on his feet,
Woods is a stupid last name.
you can possibly explore plastic surgery to repair some of the damage. But honestly, right now, we can't waste concern on how he looks. What is important is that your son is healthy. He can expect to be back home in a few days, maybe sooner.
Maybe not at all. Jeff's dad spoke again.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Woo. Is he fluent?
Up and away.
I must go. My planet needs me. Woo, woo, woo. Can we have some time alone, please? My wife and I need to speak.
Certainly.
The doctor replied.
Lou, why don't you go down to the hospital cafeteria and get yourself a snack?
Matt Dixon suggested.
I don't want to be related to either Jeff or Lou. That's not me.
But I want to be here in case Jeff wakes up.
Shut
Lou
your whole mouth,
replied.
Lou. Lou, they told us that Jeff is heavily medicated on mind drugs. They don't expect him to wake up anytime tonight. So just go, bitch. And if he does come round, we'll have you paged.
Paged? Who the what?
Well, they were at a video store earlier. I assume this is set in the 90s.
Even though it's
But it's 2015 edition.
Is it, yeah, mind you, did the game control, did they say what game console
No.
he was playing? Yeah, I assume it's supposed to be set in the 90s.
Matt replied.
Wait, were they running in the 90s?
Jeff had the door. Jeff had the door open and close as Lou exited. His parents both let out a long, shaky sigh, but Jeff was starting to believe it was not a sigh of relief, but one of stress.
We're going to have to homeschool him now, Matt. That's just what it's going to be. We're going to have to keep him home.
He heard his mother rant, her voice sounding frantic.
What? I mean, he probably won't be able to go back to start school right on time, but I doubt he'll miss the whole year.
His father responded, trying to maintain a calmer voice.
I'm not talking about that, Matt. I'm not worried about missing a week or two of school. I mean his face, Matt. You heard what the doctor said. His face is going to be disfigured.
Crying again, fucking women. Sheila argued back.
We don't know the full extent of the damage.
Hang on a sec. Well,
He's always he can't control his own gravity. He's always falling. We don't know the full extent of the damage, Sheila. It could be minor. It could possibly heal. And you heard what the physician said. Surgery. All the way.
In time? What kind of time? His time is up. A year? 2 years? And what about in the meantime? The time! People are going to see him and they're going to talk. Is that what you want? He's going to be a pariah. Piranha. You think anyone...
He does look like a fish.
You think anyone is going to want to have him around their kids?
Jeff was hearing all of this, just letting it soak in, slowly. As his mind absorbed the words, he felt that rage return. Sick, rich, dark. That syrup of raw,
Juicy.
primal emotion.
Delicious.
He wanted
Succulent.
he wanted to scream at his mother, to tell her to shut up. That he was the one lying there, his face burned, blind in one eye, all thanks to her forcing him to go over to Randy's house. He wanted to ask her why she left, why she went off to go shopping or have her nails done or whatever it was that she did. He wanted to know why she'd leave him alone with a kid who just days before tried to jump him and his brother. He wanted to know how she could care more about his appearance than the
He
fact.
wanted to know why men were starting to become more attractive.
More than the fact that he
More
was
than the feeling.
than the fact that he was lying in the hospital. However, there was still so much more that he wanted to know as well. Why was hair growing where there'd been no hair before? He wanted to know how much more his mother hated him. How much more she saw him now as a, how did she put it, pariah. Piranha. He wanted to continue to swim in that thick pool of dark hatred that was starting to form from the rage and anger.
And the anger and rage and the rage and anger and the anger and the rage.
That was a new one now. Before it was anger, then it was anger mixed with pleasure, but now it was anger mixed with hatred. And while he certainly longed to be free of it, while he most certainly preferred the false sense of love and concern he believed he'd heard from her before, he also wanted to test it out a bit more. He also began to wonder, how well would this new recipe blend with pleasure? How would it feel?
Will it blend?
Matt Woods began to speak again.
I just can't believe he shot himself in the face with a flare gun. I always thought Jeff was more responsible than that. So I really believe my son is retarded.
Don't even get me started on that.
And welcome to Jackass.
Don't even get me started on that, Sheila replied. I couldn't believe it when Randy and his friends explained to the medics and police how it all happened. Randy was just trying to show Jeff around his house and wanted to show off the collection of magazines his dad left in the garage. You know, boys, he was probably hoping that a couple of Playboys would be in there or something.
Not the magazines, though. He was just hoping a couple of Playboys would be in there.
Then he said Jeff found the box containing the flare gun and just wouldn't stop playing around with it. You should have heard those other boys, Matt. They told me that they practically begged Jeff to put it down before he got hurt, but he just had to show off. I just don't know where he went wrong, Matt. I thought us moving out here, but nice, quiet neighborhood would make everyone happy.
Right. So,
Jeff, though, he just wants to fight on everything. Because I'm going to cry again.
You're probably a horrible parent. I mean, like, I'd want to fight you. You're not even real and I want to fight you IRL.
Fight me, Roller Scott.
Like, you know, earlier you're like, oh fuck Jeff. No, I can't feel that fight for everyone. Like, I don't care about Jeff, but his parents are cartoonishly stupid.
And while all that came together in Jeff's mind, he continued to swim in that black ichor of hatred and rage. The morphine drip added a nice touch of euphoria. Jeff could almost see himself plunging into the syrupy water. It's cum. It's semen. That's what we're getting at here, guys. That's the joke.
When Jeff was a lad,
An emerging change.
You could eat 5 dozen
Each
cocks.
dip brought him so much twisted pleasure, and that was when he finally understood. He could sample that pleasure now, not because he was enjoying what was happening, but because he knew he could enjoy what was to come. Just as the doctor had predicted, Jeff was scheduled to go home a few days later. During his time at the hospital, he never asked to see his face. It wasn't until the last day that he finally asked for a mirror. The nurse had come in to change his bandages, as was the routine. She was a pleasant woman. She spoke to him, asked him how he was doing. He enjoyed her visits, so on the final day, when she arrived to clean and dress his face, he asked to see himself.
Are you sure, sweetheart? Wouldn't you like me to call your parents first?
She asked. No, my parents are bloody horrible cunts. No, thank you, Jeff replied. I think I want to see it for myself first, without them standing over me.
I understand,
She replied honestly, without a hint of pretension. Once the bandages were off, she handed him a small hand mirror.
Would you like me to step out of the room?
Jeff ignored her and looked at himself. Taking stock of the damage, sure enough, his face was a mess. The entire left side, at least.
It's just Two-Face.
The flare struck him, travelling upwards, and burned a scar onto his left cheek that extended to his eye. At first glance, it almost looked like he was smiling on that side.
Oh.
The scar was still bright red, and burnt tissue spread out on either side. Once it arrived at his eye, the news did not get any better. His eye was white, just a lifeless bulb plugged into his face.
Bulbous.
He closed his right eye and found that he could see nothing out of his left eye at all. So yeah, we've got like a badass killer with no depth perception.
Why?
I'll stab you! I'll stab you there! No, there, not there!
Why is this going on? For so
That's
fucking
why he
long?
ends
I
up
don't
stabbing
know,
trees.
it's
The scar
Okay, it's away
covering the
from
left
vision.
side of his forehead. The damage was less severe there, however. The hair on the left side of his head was burned off, leaving a few strands to stick up here and there.
Sorry, sweetie, but I have to put clean bandages on.
She told him. Jeff smiled. It's okay. There'll be plenty of time for me to admire myself later. There was no joy from his parents on the ride home, or upon arrival. They spoke very little, and there was a tension in the car that simply wouldn't fade out. As for Lou, he was thrilled that his brother was okay, but he didn't know what to say concerning the damage to his face. So after asking a few questions about the accident and the recovery, he fell silent as well. They walked into their home at dusk, and Lou asked about dinner. He suggested they let Jeff pick up a place to celebrate his return home.
pick up a building. Also, Lou, read the fucking mood.
Also, like, this fucking crowbarred in line here.
Just go to sleep, both of you boys. Go to sleep.
Catchphrase!
Sheila remarked. She and her husband both retreated to their bedrooms as well to argue or feel sorry for themselves. Who knew?
Okay, so her and her husband don't sleep in the same bedroom.
So both retreated to their bedrooms. Yeah. They're married, but they don't sleep in the same bedroom. Well, whatever works for them. Jeff and Lou didn't speak much that night. That's probably why they're such terrible parents. They stayed together for the kids, even though they hate each other.
I hate the kids.
Yeah, well, they've grown to hate the kids because the mother just sees the career she could have had every time she looks at Jeff. Jeff spent most of the evening staring at himself in the
Down
mirror.
at the fishmongers.
He kept pulling back the bandages and looking at the scars. Lou wanted to see them too, but felt that it might be imprudent to ask.
I'm glad you're home, Jeff. I really missed you, and I'm glad you're okay.
Does this look fucking okay?
Lou said to Jeff as he stared at himself. I'm not okay, Lou, and neither are you. None of us are, really. There's a sickness here. The only difference is now my sickness shows on the outside as well.
Get up, come on, get down with the sickness.
Jeff replied, his voice as flat as that on an answering machine.
What are you talking about?
Lou asked. One day you'll see it too. Crawling in the skin! This is what happens, though. This is what happens when it all falls down, Jeff said. I wish I could quit you. Still peeking through his bandages.
Jeff, I don't know what you're trying to say.
Lou responded. Jeff didn't reply, though. After several moments, Lou left him alone. Lou went down to his parents' bedroom and knocked on the door.
Okay, so now it's one bedroom. What is it?
The voice of his mother asked.
I think Jeff is acting weird. You may want to come and talk to him. I should have just done it as a Severus Snape.
Go away, Lou. Leave your mother alone.
She's busy right now.
His father's
I'm balls deep in her.
His father's voice answered.
We're
Lou,
trying to make a replacement for Jeff.
being young, had no other ideas, so he returned to his own bedroom. He didn't know that those would be the last words he'd ever hear his parents speak to him.
Oh,
That night,
spoilers.
Sheila and Matt Woods awoke together, both being light sleepers. It took little to bring them out of slumber. Yes, I know what a light sleeper is. The sudden removal of their blanket as it was snatched from the bed did the trick just fine. They awoke to see a small light coming from the half bath that was situated in their master bedroom.
Half a bat.
The door was cracked only slightly and the light source was weak. They could make out a human shape standing over their bed, though.
What's going on?
Sheila grumbled.
What? In the butt?
As their vision came into focus, they realised their son was standing before them. Matt reached over and flipped on the lamp next to their bed. Jeff was standing there, his bandages off, his disfigured face beaming down on them, with a long kitchen knife clutched in the right hand.
What are you doing, son?
Matt asked, his mind still trying to shake out the cobwebs of sleep.
He's got a knife!
Sheila screamed, grabbing at her husband's arm. Matt kept his composure, though.
Sheila, you crazy bitch! He's probably just high on those wacky painkillers. He's likely got up and got disorientated. Relax, for Christ's sake.
Jeff tilted his head
Christ's sake.
to one side, still not speaking. He stared hard at his father, slowly bringing the knife up, ensuring that he saw it well.
Son, what are you doing?
Scaring you, Jeff replied with no emotion in his voice.
Ooh. Matt, do something.
Okay, son, I realise you've been through a lot, but you need to go back to bed. Have a kip. It's going to call a doctor in the morning and...
Jeff moved quickly across to his father's side of the bed, his head moving about, alternating between a normal-looking young man and the deformed ghoul that had been lurking in the shadows.
Okay, son, you scared me. What is it you want? Calm your tits.
Matt asked, adjusting the middle of the bed to put distance between himself and his son. Good. Now I can start hurting you. Jeff spoke again with no emotion. Who wants to take us home?
His father had time to utter a single syllable.
Blah.
Syllable, most likely to ask another question, to try and reason with his son. Jeff, however, gave him time to do no more than that. He lunged onto the bed, driving the knife into his father's stomach. Matt attempted to fend Jeff off, but the wound to his midsection rendered him into shock,
These wounds they will not heal.
and his arms fell to the side. Jeff could hear his mother screaming, but paid no mind. He wanted to finish with his father first.
She didn't try to save him or anything.
No, yeah.
Well, we've already established that she's a useless bitch.
Removing the knife, Jeff stabbed down into his stomach 3 more times quickly. His father gasped and coughed at blood. His body jerked and twitched each time the knife found its mark. After the 3rd time, Matt Woods lay still.
I don't mean to be gross, but I think it would probably take quite a lot more than that if he was just stabbed in the stomach.
Yeah. Sheila had backed up against the headboard of the bed. She wanted to...
Run out the room.
She wanted to climb down, make a run for she was climbed onto the headboard, make a run for it, but she balled herself up between the headboard and the end table. In her frantic state of horror and of terror and confusion, she couldn't figure out how to do something as simple as dismount a bed. Jeff, why are you doing this to us?
Why are you taking our Christmas tree?
She asked feebly.
Randy started it. You must have known that, but you ignored it. Lou had a busted lip. You must have seen that, but you ignored it. I was shot in the face with a flare gun, but you believed Randy. Why? So you could just fit in?
Jeff asked in a low, almost growling voice. No, baby, I believed you. It was your father's job, and we're new here, and oh God, Jeff, please, his mother begged.
Tell me about homeschool, Mum. Tell me about how you don't want to send me out in public because of my face. Tell me how none of the other kids will want to be my friend, and how none of their parents will want to be yours. Tell me about that, Mum. Tell me how nice it's going to be, you homeschooling me.
Jeff, please. I was just stressed. I was worried about you, that's all. Please. I love you.
Mum, I think you should take your own advice, you know. When you told Lou when we go home tonight, he wanted to do something nice to welcome me home. Oh, God. And do you remember what you told us to do instead?
Jeff asked, as he now crawled over, cornering his mother on the bed. What did I say? She asked, the question coming out barely a whisper.
Go to Nando's!
No. So we had a nice family dinner at Nando's. It was very nice.
It was also slightly cheeky.
Go to sleep.
Got a kip, you bastard.
Jeff snarled and drove the knife into his mother's chest. He stabbed her over and over again, and as he did, he finally found that perfect recipe, that heavenly blend.
The Colonel's secret blend of herbs and spices was in his mother's small intestine the whole time.
That rage, hate, and pleasure all mixed into one perfect formula.
Right,
And
so
for a
Jeff-
while, Jeff became lost in it all.
Formula for the Krabby Patty.
And the secret recipe is dill.
Jeff opened his brother's bedroom door, not surprised to find his brother asleep. He had dozed off with headphones in, so he slept through all the shouting. That was fine with Jeff. It was easier that Lou did not have to hear all of that. Jeff sat down on his brother's bed and nudged him slightly. It took a moment, but Lou finally opened his eyes and looked up. Jeff removed his earphones for him.
You're free now, Lou.
He spoke softly.
Toby.
Jeff, what are you talking about?
My fucking throat.
Lou mumbled, still half asleep.
You'll see in the morning. I just wanted to let you know I love you and change the canon of the story a lot. You've been my best friend. Remember that, okay?
Thanks, love you too. Let me go back to sleep.
Lou replied, already dozing off again. Jeff smiled and stood up. As he left the room, he looked back at the sleeping brother one last time before he vanished into the night.
Finally, it's over!
Yeah, and they had to not kill him in this version because of homicidal Lou. Oh, shall we read the fucking comments then, guys?
Okay.
Let's read about how great it is, right?
let's see.
Tazagirl says, first of all, you pulled off a miracle and made this story something readable. Yay. I mean, it's readable in the sense that it's in English. Second,
You haven't written ancient Sumerian, so.
it works well in the tradition of crazy kids snapping out of nowhere. Reminds me of Tyler Hadley, only with better motivation. 8 out of 10.
Right, so you're wrong.
Mo Frey says,
6 out of 10. Loved the story, but Olda was intenancy.
Crawling in my skin, blah, 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 blah.
Echo the Sandwing
Echo the dolphin.
says,
This is great. Much better than the original, though Jeff's turning insane part still confused me a bit. I love how you let Lou stay alive because he wasn't the only person Jeff truly cared about. It shows Jeff didn't turn completely insane. Even though it's a creepypasta, you managed to sneak some humor in there as well. Great job. I wasn't laughing. Where was the humor?
No, we were laughing about the
Yeah,
wrong.
let's throw it away.
Yeah, you can throw it.
Another thing I don't get. However, why is Jeff would continue to kill people if this was his past? Does he want to make other people suffer the way he suffered? Originally,
they actually did explain it.
the original actually turned Jeff completely crazy, in quotation, although the fangirls refuse to acknowledge that. So Jeff believes that he's actually doing people a favor by making them beautiful. But IDK, I think they'll be left in mystery of the thing, I guess. But I'm in no place to rate something, but I give this a 9 out of 10.
I'm in no place to rate it, but I will. The remake I actually love. Good job, dude. Okay, so, I mean, that's enough of the comments, I think. Isn't it? Alright,
So what do we think?
I feel that I have just witnessed something that I've never witnessed before, and that's the inner workings of the homosexual mind.
It was pretty gay, wasn't it?
It was very gay.
She's allowed to say that because she's a woman and not a white man.
Yeah.
I wonder what the fuck the picture of the flare gun was for.
I need to check my privilege.
Alright, before we get... I mean, we're bound to get some morons come on and call us homophobic for all the gay jokes. We're not at all. They're just jokes, okay? But ignoring the possibly accidental, possibly intentional homoerotic subtext, because I don't think that particularly serves the story one way or the other. It doesn't take anything from it, really, but it doesn't add anything to it.
It's not really much of a take it, it's more of a giver.
Well,
Exactly.
it's
It's a
between the two
selfish
brothers.
lover.
It's like it's more incestuous as well. It's not even.
But I mean, I don't know. It just isn't very good. Is the problem? And the thing is, they've clearly tried to sort of reinvent Jeff the Killer, but they lack enough originality to completely change it. So they make Jeff the Killer look different,
So it's
but
just
essentially it is the same story. He gets his face badly burned and goes to hospital and all this, and then his parents freak out and he kills the parents in the bedroom. He has the same bullies with the same name. They're just the events that lead up to it are slightly different. They move to a new town. It is essentially the same thing. I didn't think it was very good at all. I'd say it was better than the other one we read, but I mean, still of quite poor quality.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. If you say, like, Jeff the Killer, the original, which is a piece of shit, is a 1, this would be, I don't know, 1.5, maybe 2 if I'm feeling very generous, which I'm not. It's still shit. It makes... it's not as ridiculous as the first one. It's like, oh, a thing of bleach fell on him, and now his face looks like a fish. And now it's just he's got a flare-shaped scar on his face, and he sees in one eye. I mean, but that's like not really. I mean, Fish Face Boy wasn't scary in the first place, but I can only see in one eye, man.
Yeah, if anything, this is a less scary, at least visually, the image that they conjure up in your mind of what the reimagined Jeff looks like is probably less intimidating than the original.
It's like, I don't know, at least the other one is like it's ridiculous and bullshit, and he's magically got superpowers for no reason. But then again, he's got superpowers for no reason, so he can murder a bunch of people. In this one, it's like, oh, he's just a guy with a burnt face, man.
Pretty much. Just because I've got a burnt face doesn't mean I can't murder people. I didn't think it was very good.
Innocent people, I'll hurt their knees and murder them.
So this story, in a way, sort of
It's all about how
is sort of sensitized Jeff to sort of try and, I guess, make him more relatable and more human in a way.
relate to the kids on the streets.
But
Like Spider-Man.
it's like trying to reboot Slender Man in a way. It doesn't work for me. Like, imagine the same thing happened, but with Slender Moon, and it was just like, he used to be an original guy named
Derek Tool.
named Derek Woods, who lived in the woods. He loved the woods so much that one day his face fell off because of a bear attack.
Steve Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
Yeah, it's just the same thing over and over. No matter how many Jeff reboots, it always comes back to the same thing. Oh, I love my brother, even though I killed him in the first one, but I left him alive in the second one because he got a crowbar fucking story in there somehow, and I leave open shit. I wonder if they're going to reboot Homicide of Leo at some point.
I hope they somehow work in Jane the Killer into this one.
God, I can't wait for fucking Homicide of Leo 2016. Am I right, fellas?
2024.
And lady?
Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can click either of these videos on display, or you can hit subscribe. I'd also like to say a big thank you to our new editor, Steph, for stepping up and doing a great job on this video series. You can follow myself on Twitter at MovieSherwood. You can follow Toby on Twitter at Silent Rocker. You can support us on Patreon if you want, and you can check out our store to pick up some shirts and other things that are made ethically here in the UK. Thanks for your time, guys, and I'll see you next time on Bad Creepypasta.